Hey friends, it's Jenna. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a Poshmark tips video, and I'm going to be talking specifically about my secret code. So I briefly mentioned this secret code in one of my most recent videos about Poshmark listing descriptions. It's something that I include in every single listing, and I got a lot of feedback about it. I got a lot of comments, questions, etc. So I figured I would go ahead and make a separate video just about my code and explain it a little more in depth, exactly what it is, how to use it, and yeah, let's go ahead and get into today's video. So before we get into all the specifics, just a disclaimer that this is the code or type of system that works for me. I have adapted it and just kind of figured out what works best for me, and you can either adapt this, use it on your own, copy it exactly, you know, just figure out what works for you, but I'm just kind of giving you some tips and advice from my perspective. And I can't take all the credit for having a code or a code in my listing. I know I'm not the only one that does it, but my accountant actually suggested this to me like a few years ago when I first started working with him, and I listened to him in the beginning. I tried to do something, however, I made it really complicated and I couldn't keep up with it, or it just wasn't something that was very user-friendly, so I stopped using it. And I just revisited the idea about 6 months ago. I realized it was something that I think could really benefit me, and I decided to start using a code again, and I made it much more simplified this time. So what is the secret code that I keep talking about? I don't even know why I'm using the word secret, because really it's just a code. But the code is something that lets me know specifics about the item that I am listing. It's something that I can easily look at, and I put it in every single description at the very end of the description. And the main reason I started using a code is because I wanted to be able to remember my cost of goods while I'm out on the go, when I'm getting offers, and not having to look at like a separate spreadsheet or refer to any other kind of app or whatever. I just want to be able to look at my listing and know my cost of goods. So that was like the main reason I wanted to have a code. And then you can also utilize the code for other things. So I think it's kind of cool if you want to keep track of when you purchased the item, or like when you listed it. I pretty much list as soon as I purchase an item. So to me, the dates or the time frame is usually the same, so you could maybe code in the month if you wanted to maybe code in where you got the item, so maybe the type of store or whatnot. I think all those things could be really helpful. You might even think of other things that you want to keep track of. It just is kind of a unique thing to you and what you want to get out of it. But for me, the main thing is cost of goods, because that is what I want to be able to just instantly look at and know, am I going to be making a profit on this item? If so, how much? So getting into specifics of the code and maybe how to use it or how you can come up with one, I actually pulled up some examples I created on my phone. So I'm going to be putting the examples I'm talking about on the screen next to me, so you can just keep an eye on that if you want to refer to a visual. I know I'm a big visual learner. So I like to come up with letters that stand for numbers, specifically the dollars, and I came up with a 10-letter phrase or word, basically anything that is easy to remember that has 10 different letters, because you need a letter for all of the different single digits, 0 through 9. And I'm gonna put on screen the example that I came up with to share with you all, and it is, I love cards. Very random, but how easy is that phrase to remember? I love cards. And it has 10 different letters in it, which is perfect. And so what I did, I put it down on the side of this piece of paper, and I just corresponded a number to each letter. So 1 through 0, I love cards, and then I put some examples next to it for you just to again give you a reference. So if an item is $5, if that's the cost of goods, the number 5 corresponds to the letter E. So if I wanted to code 5 into my secret code, I would just use the letter E. And then, for example, $21, it is L-I. And then $33 is OO. So that is just a kind of simple reference for you of how you can maybe come up with a phrase or a word that will correspond to all of the different numbers, and you can keep track of your cost of goods that way. Okay, the next screen I have that I'm going to put on the screen is for dates. So this would be if you wanted to keep track of, again, when you listed an item or when you purchased it, you know, whatever, it's up to you. And I just listed out the 12 months, and I put a different letter with all of those months. So I used letters that I didn't use in the previous example, I just used a bunch of different ones. You could also use a combination of letters. You could use numbers. Again, just figuring out a system that's going to be easy for you to remember. And then the next screen I'll put up is for stores. So this again is if you're like really nitpicky and you want to remember where you got something. For me, this isn't as important just because, yeah, you never know what you're going to find where. So even though I might have found something amazing at this one store, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to find that amazing thing again, because most of the stuff we buy is just like random one-off pieces. But if you wanted to keep track of your stores just for reference, you could. And for this example, I just numbered them because you could probably have a really long list of stores or places that you source from, and it would be hard to come up with letters because you're pretty limited based on the ones you've used already for cost of goods and the ones you've used for months. So yeah, just numbering like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on might be more beneficial for this type of code. So now I'm going to go to the full screen example where I've written out all of these codes that I just showed you and how you can create your own secret code in your listing. So decide, you know, obviously what you want to put in there, but if we were to put in the 3 examples that I just showed you and put them in those orders, which again, you could totally put them in another order. I did the cost of goods and then the month and then the place where it was sourced from. So the first example is an item that cost $10, was listed in March, and came from Goodwill. So I just used from the first code the letters for 10, which is IS, and then the code for March, which is G, and then the code for Goodwill is 1. So at the bottom of the listing, I would just put ISG1, and that would let me know all of those different details. And then I have another example, $5, listed in January from Salvation Army, so that code would be E for $5, B for the month, and then 5 for Salvation Army for the store. Okay, and then my last code example is just $25 from August from a garage sale. And 25 would be LE, and then August is N, and garage sale is 3. So I would just put LE in 3 at the very bottom of my listing, and then I would be able to reference that and know exactly all the item specifics. So I think that's pretty straightforward. Another thing you could do if you feel like maybe someone could figure out your code, which I think would be really hard, would be you could put some like dummy letters or numbers in there. So if you just wanted to add in either in the middle, before, after, other random things, as long as you know, maybe use it the exact same way each time so you know where your code is within the dummy letters. That's something you could do as well. Honestly, I don't think anyone's going to be sitting there really trying to decipher your code to figure out what your different things stand for, because they would have no idea. Only you know what is going to be standing for different things within that code. So I like to put that, like I mentioned, at the end of every listing. I've been doing it for about 6 months, and it's just really nice to be able to, again, see exactly what my cost of goods were and maybe when I listed it, in order for me to make the best decision about maybe offers coming in or sending out offers to likers. And that way I can make sure I'm still staying profitable and, yeah, being more efficient with like my time and not having to go back and check all these other different areas. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you and made sense. I tried to break it down as easily as possible, but I'm never sure if I'm explaining things well enough. So let me know down in the comment section below, like if you have any questions about this or if you have any kind of concerns or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. Please give this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it, if you did find it helpful, maybe something that you can implement into your own Poshmark business. And yeah, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to my channel already, and I will see you soon. Bye.